evening on the World News Tonight from BGI TV Current. First, the headlines. Shettima urges public office holders to shun personal sectional gains. We are taking measures to address insecurity, Speaker Abbas. Ohaneze Afenifere Pandef hail 180 billion naira palliative to state as NEF kicks. Niger Delta leaders Spitfire say any attempt to scrap. Why we chose Naira Marley for drug abuse advocacy, NDLEA. And on sports, Nigeria finished 7th in heats crash out of 4,400 meter race. I am Morire Rabila Lawa. The news shortly. Vice President Kashim Shettima has urged political office holders to put the interest, unity and progress of the nation above personal or sectional goals. Mr. Olushola Abiola, Director of Information, Office of the Vice President, in a statement, said Shettima gave the advice at a reception to celebrate the appointment and accomplishments of Senator George Akume, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The information also reported that the reception was organized by North Central Governors Forum. Shettima also called on present and aspiring political office holders to emulate the SGF's virtues. The Vice President, who paid glowing tributes to the SGF in a message titled A Life of Honor, described Akume as an idea, a man of honor, a beacon of unity, loyalty, and integrity in our nation. Let's not only celebrate his appointment, but also from his lifetime. Senator Akume's political longevity is not by an accident. It is a result of his unwavering pan-Nigerian principle, reflecting his wisdom and vision of a peaceful, stable, and safe Nigeria. Shettima also eulogized the virtues that have endeared the SDF to so many across political and ethnic lines. On the path that has led our honoree to this tragic position, we find woven the threads of unshaken belief in the ideas of a united Nigeria. The conviction that our strength lies in our unity and diversity. Together that we are stronger than the sum of our parts, as guided his steps and fueled his determination. Shettima described Akume as the ally you can count on with your eyes closed, and that is the highest compliment you can receive in politics. His journey to this height exemplifies his identity to the pact he has signed. It was what you do when you have agreed to uphold the virtues and value that our great nations owe. Also, Shettima said there are offices for which no amount of academic and professional qualifications is sufficient to earn. Our honoree here today occupies one such office, an office that makes you understand why our learning institution emphasize characters when issuing degree certificates to their graduating students. Our honoree is here today because of his loyalty to a cause greater than himself. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Rep. Tajuddin Abbas, says the House is taking measures to nip in the bud the recent spate of attacks in some parts of the country. Mr. Musa Krishi, Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Speaker, disclosed this in a statement in Abuja today. According to him, Abbas gave the assurance during a condolence visit to the Emir of Zazzau, Ambassador Ahmed Bamani. Krishi, who said the visit was over the collapse of part of the Zaria Central Mosque, which killed several people and injured many others during the Asr prayer on August 11th. He said the visit was also based on bandit attack and that claimed 2 lives in Kofar Ganya area of Zaria on August 12th. Krishi said the Speaker expressed sadness over the unfortunate incidents and assured that the leadership and the people of Zazzau Emirate that the House had taken measures aimed at forestalling a recurrence. According to him, Abbas assured the Emir that the military would establish a formation around some flashpoints to curtail future attacks on communities in Zaria and its environs. He also quoted Abbas as saying, "I want to assure you that based on the way banditry wants to return, we in the House have taken some measures. I also want to assure you that as a son of the land and one of the kingmakers in this palace, I am ready to contribute to the rebuilding of the mosque. When it's time for the work, let me know. We thank you for giving us this opportunity to come and condole with you." The Ohaneze Ndigbo, Afenifere, and the Niger Delta Forum Pandef yesterday gave the federal government a thumbs up on the 50 billion naira, 5 billion naira palliative grants to and other forms of assistance to the 36 states to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal. They urge a fair deployment of resources to the people. But in the Northern Elders Forum, NEF the FAD, it said the 5 billion naira was inadequate to solve the problem of hunger in many of our states. The Kwara State government confirmed receipt of 2 billion naira out of the 4 billion naira relief funds released by the federal government for the purchase of rice for vulnerable members of the public. It is now awaiting balance of 22 billion naira of the funds as well as 1 billion naira worth of maize, 40,000 bags, which the Central Bank of Nigeria is sending to each state from the National Strategic Reserve. The National Publicity Secretary of Afenifere, Comrade Jare Ajayi, told that the federal government's gesture was the right step in the right direction. He advised the state governors who are saddled with the responsibility of sharing the palliative to ensure they get to the people for whom they are intended. It is an indication that the federal government is not only aware that the people are going through a tough time currently, but also that its FG is ready to do something about it, he said. He added that it is proper that the government is coming up with steps to ameliorate the situation as simplified by the 5 billion naira palliative to each state of the federation. Ajayi, however, said that throwing money at a problem will not necessarily solve the problem. Multiple approaches must be adopted to solve this particular problem, and the solutions must be both in the short and medium term basis. And also, to start with, the federal government must work hard to ensure that 1 or 2 petrol refineries be in operation before the end of this year. It should also get subsidized vehicles to stakeholders in all the 774 local government areas in the country. The sum must be targeted without exception at building industries that are agricultural based. For instance, in Oyo State, industry that will feed on cassava, cashew, yam, rice, mangoes, etc., as well as livestock must be the ones to which the palliative is committed. Special arrangements should be made for senior citizens from the age 60 and children in the areas of transportation, especially in the state capitals and major cities. Finally, rail and marine transportation must be expanded, just as moratorium must be placed on hike in the electricity tariff. The Deputy President Ohanese Southeast Chief Damien Okeke Ogene said the 5 billion naira was a welcome development and better than the 8,000 initially proposed for vulnerable families. He warned the state governors to monitor the sharing of the palliatives effectively so that they do not end in wrong places. The idea is commendable, at least. It's better than the 8,000 naira idea, which might not get to its destination, Okeke Ogene said. It will be a very big relief to masses if they are feeling the heat of the situation with the palliative. Moving on to the next story. Leaders of the Niger Delta on Friday cautioned the federal government not to take any misguided step to scrap or subvert the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs would have adverse consequences. The information recalls that the President Bola Tinubu had on Wednesday unveiled portfolios of ministers designated, but the Niger Delta Affairs Ministry was nowhere to be found. Rising from a meeting of critical stakeholders of the Niger Delta extraction, leaders of the region in a communique jointly signed by its leaders, Chief E.K. Clark and Senator Emmanuel Ibok Essien, National Chairman, the regional group declared that the group cautioned that any misguided step towards scrapping or submerging the ministry will create an unfavorable environment with adverse consequences. To this end, the following resolutions were reached at the end of the confab. Expresses great surprise that in that published assignment of ministers to their various cabinet portfolios, there is none designated for the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs. The spokesperson for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Femi Babafemi, has said that the agency intentionally enlisted controversial artist Aziz Fashola, aka Naira Marley, for its drug abuse advocacy. Recall that the criticism trailed on a video of Naira Marley advising youth to stop taking illicit substances. This was particularly so because the singer is known to glorify and encourage drug abuse. In an interview, Babafemi said it is an advocacy engagement with him. It is what we do as part of our responsibilities of the agency to promote advocacy messages that will discourage people from substance abuse. It is about the message. The drug agency spokesperson also noted that using Mali as an advocate did not mean that the agency won't arrest him if he was caught with illegal substances. He said last year we arrested some of his artists, Zinoliski and Mobad. That is to show that we are not closing our eyes. If the same Naira Marley is caught with illicit substances tomorrow, he will face consequences. Babafemi added that critics should consider the message and not focus on the messenger. One of the people who had criticized the choice of Naira Marley was actress Tonto Dike. She wrote on the social media, NDLEA, you are looking like a disgrace. This is not an insult, but this is from a daughter of the sword speaking out on your misconducts. The Nigeria Bar Association, NBA, has resolved to investigate the allegations of sexual assault against the suspended Dean of Faculty of Law, University of Calabar, Professor Cyril Indefon. A statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the NBA, Mr. Akorede Abib Lawal, on Saturday said the decision was reached by the National Executive Council Committee (NEC) of the NBA at a recent monthly meeting presided over by the NBA President, Mr. Yakubu Mekel San, with all the national officers of the association in attendance. Lawal said in a statement that the NBA NEC has empaneled an ad hoc committee comprising the first Vice President of the NBA, Mrs. Linda Rose Bala, the Assistant General Secretary of the NBA, Mr. Daniel Kip, Chairperson of NBA Women's Forum and Chairman of the NBA Calabar branch, to investigate the allegations against the university Don. According to the NBA statement, there was a recent media report of the attempted bribe of Justice Flora Azingi of the National Assembly and State House of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Kano. The statement reads, the NBA has, by a letter dated 16 August 2023, formally requested His Lordship to avail the NBA of further details in this regard to enable investigation into the allegation. Information reported that a tea seller, popularly known as Métis, and his customer have been killed in Kwara. They were reportedly killed by lightning which struck at Eyankori in Asa, local government area of Kwara State. It was reliably gathered that the incident occurred at Onigbegiri junction of Eyankori on Thursday evening during a downpour. An eyewitness, Mr. Mujid Onigbegiri, who spoke with journalists, said the tea seller, an Hausa man, and an unidentified man who came to buy tea died instantly when the thunder struck during the heavy rainfall in the area at about 6:30 p.m. The Police Public Relations Officer, Kwara State Command, SP Okesami Ajayi, confirmed the incident, saying the thunderstorm killed 2 persons in Eyankori community, a suburb of Ilorin, during the downpour. He said the corpse of the tea seller, a Hausa man, had been released and buried by his family, while the Yoruba man who went to buy tea from the man had not been claimed, as the family said they would perform certain rites on the victim before he could be buried. Farida Abdul Kadir, a popular Lagos State socialite, has explained why she wanted to plunge into a lagoon on the Third Mainland Bridge, Lagos. Abdul Kabir, who is also the owner of House of Farida, cited frustration, failed marriage, and many others as what propelled her action on Thursday nights. In a viral video on social media, she said a 100 million naira marriage with another Lagos socialite, Demola Okulaja, crashed after 2 months. Abdul Kabir was seen being pacified to disease from jumping, while rescuers were seen assuring her there was no need to take her life, but all would be well with her before she was whisked away into her vehicle and taken to an undisclosed destination. The fair-complexioned entrepreneur and socialite owns a beauty lounge and spa located at Akerele, Surulere, Lagos. As a fallout of her crashed marriage, Farida, who could not endure depression, decided to end her life as she alighted from a black-colored sports utility vehicle on the Third Mainland Bridge to plunge into the lagoon. She was married to another Lagos socialite, Demola Okulaja, in a grand marriage about 2 months ago. Abdul Kabir said after Okulaja walked out of the married matrimonial home, she's been frustrated with many suicidal attempts. From that story from Lagos State, we go to the foreign story. The Prime Minister of Niger, Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain, on Friday stated confidently that the deposed president, Mohamed Bazoum, will not face harm. Zain, in an interview, said nothing will happen to him because we don't have a tradition of violence in Niger. He made clear the new leaders of Niger have no plans to collaborate with Russia or the Wagner Group backed by the Kremlin. However, the New York Times highlighted the coup leaders' reported actions, which included cutting off water and electricity to Bazoum's residence and alleged threats to his life. Amid this report, the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, warned of grave consequences if Bazoum's health deteriorates. At the UN, concerns over Bazoum's health and status prompted inquiries from the media. The spokesperson to the Secretary General of UN, Antonio Guterres, Stephen Dujarric, said, "I've spoken to someone who speaks to him regularly, and yes, as far as we know, we have no indication to say that he's not alive. So, as far as I know, he's alive." Zain, who was appointed Niger's prime minister on August 7, was also questioned by Times on the presence of 1,100 American soldiers and 1,500 French soldiers fighting against the Allies in the anti-terrorist operations with the local army. Zain, a French-trained economist who had served as finance minister in previous administration, said the moment will come to review such military partnership while praising the extremely reasonable position of the White House is trying to resolve the crisis through diplomacy rather than force. And to end the world news is a sports story. Nigeria's quartet Duben Nwachukwu, Patience Okon George, Ezekiel Nathaniel, and Imabong Uyinse Oku will play no further part in the 4,400 meter race mixed relay event at this year's World Athletic Championships after finishing 7th in the second heat. Although the time of 3 minutes 14 seconds, which they ran, was a season best, it was not enough to take even one of the non-automatic qualification spots. Nwachukwu ran an impressive lead leg from the 9th lane, but when time Okon took over, Nigeria fell back. Oko, who ran anchor, couldn't improve on the opposition Nathaniel when he handed over the baton. With that sports story, we've come to the end of today's world news from BGI TV Current. Before we go, some headlines. Shetima urges political office holders to shun personal sectional gains. We are taking measures to address insecurity, Speaker Abbas. Ohaneze Afenifere Pandef hailed 180 billion naira palliative to states. Niger Delta leader Spitfire say any attempt to scrap or submerge Ministry of Niger Delta. Why we chose Naira Marley for drug abuse advocacy, NDLEA. Finally, on sport, Nigeria finished 7th in hits, crash out of the race. For more updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawi Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rebila Lawa. Good evening.